Okay, how do we do on this fine Wednesday? Thanks for joining us on Arc Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schnee. It is February the 4th. By the way, it is Tuesday. I had to jump ahead a day, and I knew it was Tuesday. I just texted somebody that. Tonight, we're taking a look, an in-depth look at some body camera footage of a heroic Tooele County deputy and community members rescuing a man and his dog from a frozen lake. Hey! That would be Deputy Taubman, Jeremy Taubman, staying on shore, and he actually tossed out a rope for the man to grab onto. North Tooele Fire District also had crews on scene that night. Now, the body camera video, as you saw there, a little snippet, not easy to watch due to some recording issues, and you see a lot of purple framed across. But we worked on this for you to show you more about what took place here over the weekend, and here is what happened next.
Right there.
Where?
Right there. With the dog.
He has the dog? Hold this. Light, luz, por favor. Aquí. Hey, hey. Hey! Excuse me.
So with the help of community members, the deputy helped pull that man and his dog to safety, so saving not one life, but two that night. I wanted by all involved. North Tooele Fire District also responding that night, along with other agencies. Here's John Smith with the district about rescues and what people need to know before trying to go after that dog or another person stranded on the ice.
7:30 on Saturday night, we got a call that somebody had fallen through the ice while trying to rescue a dog on Stansbury Lake. And for those that aren't aware of the landscape around Stansbury Park, we have a recreational lake that has a pretty expansive shoreline that people share on their backyards. So it's a residential lake that is open to the public in some parts, and other parts are blocked by houses.
So what took place next? The individual obviously made it out. It sounds like the dog made it out too, but it was kind of hard to make out what was going on in the video that we saw from the deputy that responded from Tooele County. But what had to happen to make that work?
Right. So it was a busy night. We had crews and ambulances were out on other calls, and so luckily we had resources already on the street in that area. But when that call went out, it was all hands on deck. When somebody goes into the cold water, it's not a matter of minutes, it's a matter of seconds. So we had 2 units from North Tooele Fire respond, Mountain West Ambulance responded, a firefighter from the Utah Department of Natural Resources happened to be in the area. He has an ice rescue kit on his truck, and Deputy Taubman was nearby as well. And thankfully, sheriff's deputies have ropes with them as well, just in case such a thing happens. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of frozen water areas in Tooele County, and we've had some tragic accidents in the past that have not ended the way that this one did on Saturday night.
So it's good that this all ended the way it did. I mean, we've seen within the news what happens when members of the community that were trying to help the best they could and just keep this individual, I guess, comfortable while they were trying to get a rope thrown to him.
Absolutely. So the man had been in the water for about 20 minutes at this point, and that is when hypothermia can really start to set in. You really start to feel the effects of cold water at that point. And Deputy Taubman was able to get a rope to the man and pull him to shore without going into the water himself. And really, while the best case scenario would be for somebody to not fall in the water, as far as what happens after somebody does fall in the water, this is the best case scenario. We were able to get him out of the water without putting anybody else in harm's way. The other civilians on the side of the banks also did not try to enter the water, which can be. Taubman was able to get the rope out without going in himself, so that by the time we had all of our resources on scene, we were able to shift right into, medical mode and start getting the guy, warmed up.
So what should somebody do if there's the dog on the ice, right? Like going in after it is probably the last resort. I mean, calling for help, but what can an individual do to try to, in a way, take matters into their own hands before you get there?
Right. And it's hard, right? Because that's your pet. Pets are a member of our family. We're firefighters. We have pets too. And if my dog goes out on the ice, the first thing I'm going to want to do, especially if the dog goes through the ice, is I'm going to want to save the dog. But the best thing you can do at that point is to call 911. And firefighters and ice rescue personnel will come out and rescue an animal just the same as we would a human being. We know that members of our community love their pets, and we're going to do the best we can to save them. If you are not skilled enough to judge the ice, to check the ice sheet, please do not go on the ice for any reason. It's the same advice we give somebody when a home is burning. You don't go back into a house to save your pet. Unfortunately, you shouldn't go out onto the ice either, because that dog weighs 40, 50 pounds. And in some cases, you may weigh more than 4 times that amount. And if you're not educated on ice, you're putting yourself at the risk of fatal consequences.
So I was out there today. There's no ice left. I mean, it's been melted because it's temperatures in the 60s for consistent days now. What were the conditions like that night? How thick was the ice? Was it broken pieces of ice? Was it actually a full sheet? Can you kind of describe the conditions of the lake when this was?
Yeah. The lake was frozen over. It was the ice sheet had melted along the edges, which is always a sign of danger. Anytime you have water on the edge of the ice sheet, that's a sign of danger. And anytime you can see through the ice or have slush on the surface, that's also dangerous. On Saturday night, we had also had warm temperatures and rain, which once the sun went down, that kind of froze the rain on top of the ice that had been melting all day, and kind of gives people a false sense of security. But in some parts of the lake, the ice was about 4 to 5 inches thick, which is considered safe. But after the temperatures that we'd had and the rain, it wasn't a consensus on top of the ice, which is where this gentleman fell through.
Now, what sort of training do you and your partners do for this sort of thing? I know, I'm guessing an annual sort of thing. You've got bodies of water out there that freeze over, but it sounds like you've got not just the one this past weekend, but another one coming up as well. How important is this to your operation?
This is very serious to us. We never know what we're going to be dealing with, so we have everything on the trucks. We test at least twice a year, and this year we've already tested, even though it's been a warmer season for us. We've done 4 different certifications on our firefighters, so that everybody who's on that truck knows what to do, whether they're in the suit going in the water or whether they're acting as a safety holding the ropes on the shore. We're getting a little bit of a spring tease, which, that's, I would take this weather all day, but it's going to start cooling off again. And we may get some ice coming back over the lake. If that does happen, it will be thin. And if you are not skilled in judging ice and don't know what you're doing, please stay off. We would prefer that you don't even go near it. One thing that people tend to do, somehow they throw a rock on the ice, and if the rock doesn't break the ice, they assume it's safe. That is about the worst possible thing you could do.
Well, if you'd like to learn more about the heroic actions taken by Deputy Taubman that night and the other community members that played a big role here, you can find this story on our website right now. You see it on your screen, KUTV.com. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake after this massive home explosion a few months ago, why is there debris remaining in that neighborhood and seemingly nothing cleaned up? We'll look into that next. Welcome back to Ark Salt Lake. Now the latest information from South Jordan, where it's been a little more than 3 months since this deadly home explosion, and the site is still untouched. Preliminary investigations show that the cause of the deadly explosion in November was linked to a gas leak nearby. Krista McPeak visited the site to see if there is any update or progress and has more for us tonight.
Blue ribbons fly through the breeze in this South Jordan neighborhood on a Tuesday afternoon, among dried flowers outside a metal fence. These are a symbol of the love for a 15-year-old Logan Hansen who died in the November explosion. A pile of rubble seemingly appeared to be untouched months later. Reaching out to the NTSB, who is investigating, I emailed them asking the timeline for cleanup. They said they do not conduct cleanups. Next, I called the city of South Jordan to learn more about the cleanup timeline. A spokesperson tells me the responsibility is under the property owner and insurance company. We're driving to the property now to see what is still there. Upon arrival, a sign posted that reads, "This property is under investigation," and "Please do not remove, alter, or destroy anything within this structure without approval from the insurance agency posted."
If you'd like to see all of our past reports on the explosion, including drone video and interviews with investigators, we have those posted online on our KUTV YouTube page. We're keeping an eye on your money tonight as software companies and an apartment complex owner here in the Valley are accused of working together to raise rent on many Utahns. Brian Will explains what they're accused of doing and how it affects renters.
If you're trying to get just like an apartment close to where you work, forget about it. It's just super expensive.
Todd Hussey knows all too well how much it costs to live in rentals with 7 adult children all renting.
I have 2 boys that actually work for a company that rents apartments, and so they get a discount on renting their apartments. If not, they couldn't afford it.
That's why the details alleged in this complaint by the Justice Department are even more frustrating. In the complaint, the DOJ says Greystar used software company RealPage to illegally raise prices here in Utah. RealPage sells software to landlords that collect non-public information from competing landlords and uses that combined information to make pricing recommendations. RealPage, in their own words, says they are driving every possible opportunity to increase price even in the most downward trending or unexpected conditions.
I think they're kind of predatory, truthfully I do.
Greystar manages more than 70 complexes in the Salt Lake area. When we asked them about the allegations and how they ensure fair rental practices, they sent us a statement which says, "We conduct business with the utmost integrity. At no time did Greystar engage in any anti-competitive practices and will vigorously defend themselves in this lawsuit."
Well, the property management companies and RealPage have denied the allegations raised by the Justice Department, and the lawsuits on this are still pending. The housing crisis in Utah isn't just about high prices or low supply. It's also about who is buying houses. Investors or investor groups with big cash often scoop up Utah homes, beating out younger families who are trying to become first-time homeowners. What some state leaders are doing to help Utah houses go to families and not investors. It's an Eye on Your Money report tonight on 2 News at 10 o'clock. Hi, Sean.
What's up?
How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Enjoying
blowing away in the breeze.
like temperatures. Not so much the winds. The winds I could do without, but here we are. We're still dealing with some wind gusts that are exceeding 30, even 40 miles per hour, especially down towards the southwestern part of the state. From Cedar City up through Milford, that's where we continue to deal with wind advisories there. That will continue to push through the day tomorrow. Still seeing some gusty winds in the Bryce Canyon area as well. The futurecast will show just that, especially as we get into tomorrow morning. Look at this, statewide gusty winds 30 to 45 miles per hour. But look at that cold front inching closer to the state. This will be moving in through the afternoon. The winds will shift in on the north and west, dropping the temperatures, getting rid of the spring-like weather, but it will also eventually subside as that cold front moves in. Winds will calm, so that'll get a little bit better here. But look at this. It's still spring-like. It's 7:18, and we're at 63 degrees. I'll take it. Not bad. 62 in Ogden. Provo currently sitting at 54. Statewide, a little bit cooler and Blanding at 47. St. George, 68 degrees. 55 in Milford. We had record-breaking heat today. 69 degrees. How about that? across the state right now, looking at some shower activity, and look at all the heavy rain over California there into the Sierra Nevada mountains. Up closer towards the mountains here, I'm not expecting much in the way of accumulations. Better chance for some light accumulations up into the mountains as we get into the day tomorrow. Starting off in the morning, Uintas should do pretty well here. Some light accumulations further up towards the north, but generally kind of missing out here across the valleys and even across the front end of the Wasatch Mountains. You'll see as we get into Thursday, we dry things out, still leaving the clouds around because here comes storm number 2. This will be a colder and stronger storm that will be a little bit more impactful across much of the state here as we get into Friday afternoon. You'll notice that rain-snow mix may go over to all snow across the valley floors and maybe some light accumulations, and then it's out of here just in time for the weekend with some colder weather behind it. So generally, with storm number 1, the mountains about 2 to 5 inches. For us in the valley, it's just going to be some very light rain, if not just dry conditions. For storm number 2, though, for Friday, the mountains 8 to 16 inches of snow, and then maybe a dusting to 2 inches of snow here across the valleys. So the lows tonight, we're down into the 50s and 40s. Highs tomorrow, we're into the mid and upper 50s, 46 in Park City. St. George, you've got highs into the 60s there, and then heading into the weekend, we're into the 50s as well. Along the Wasatch Front, we've got temperatures as we make our way into the end of the week, cooling down closer to where we should be for this time of year. 53 on Friday, mixed rain and snow. Weekend looking good there. It's going to be a powder day for skiers if you're heading up to the slopes on Friday and especially early Saturday morning.
All right, know where to be and know what canyons to avoid. Sounds like it.
That's right,
Enough
yeah.
in the canyons to worry about closures, you think?
I'd say just a really slow commute. It's kind of hard to gauge with all this melting that we've been seeing right now, and it's still plenty warm, but potentially early Saturday morning, briefly at least overnight from Friday night to Saturday.
All right, thank you, Sean. Still ahead here on Arc Salt Lake, we will talk about the Big 12 schedule release. Be right back. We're getting our first look at BYU and Utah's upcoming football schedules. They were released today. The Utes kick off the new season August 30th at UCLA. The first home game is the following week against Cal Poly, and the Utes and BYU face off in Provo this year. Saturday, October 18th, the Utes' final home game, November 22nd, taking on Kansas State.
Yeah, BYU opens the new season at home on August 30th against Portland State. The Cougars' first Big 12 game is set for September 27th at Colorado. The final Cougars home game next season is November 29th against Central Florida.
The Super Bowl of Caring is brought to you by Smith's, Mountain Home Services, Rocky Mountain Power, Check City, America First Credit Union, and Ford.
You can help end child's hunger in Utah with their Super Bowl of Caring. For more information on how to donate, scan the QR code on your screen or go to KUTV.com/donate.
Just $10 can help feed a child for a weekend. Speaking of Super Bowl of Caring, good idea to give a little help where you can here, especially with the mind on the game coming up in just a few days now. And not ready to give predictions just yet. I think we may way through the week, but I will go, at least I'll give you a hint. It may or may not be anti-NFC East where I'm feeling right now.
I just want some different kind of result this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keeping it cryptic. See you tomorrow night at 7. Take care.